Melo gon' be just fine. God gon' see about this in his own time. Hold your head high, don't let him steal your life. Carmelo gon' be just fine tonight. Peace be still, peace be still. That's just how we feel. Peace be still, peace be still. Keep your faith for real. Storm clouds hanging, people talking every day. Everybody got opinions, got something to say. But we praying for the truth, wherever it may lead. Praying for the family and everybody's needs. Know we tapped in, we watching every move. Trying to stay together while the world keeps choosing sides to prove. Somebody hurting, somebody crying, that's the truth. So we asking God for wisdom while we're searching for the proof. Carmelo gon' be just fine. God gon' see about this in his own time. Hold your head high, don't let him steal your life. Carmelo gon' be just fine tonight. Peace be still, peace be still. That's just how we feel. Peace be still, peace be still. Keep your faith for real. Stay strong, little bro, don't give up the fight. The Most High still working in the dark and in the light. Family standing with you, love standing too. Keep your faith in the storm till you make it through. When the pressure gets heavy and the nights get long, remember every trial ain't where you belong. Keep your eyes on them all, keep your heart on God. One step at a time, keep moving through it all. We ain't giving up, we ain't backing down. Love gonna lift us when we're feeling on the ground. Hands to the heavens, prayers in the sky. Trusting in the truth as the days go by. Carmelo gon' be just fine. God gon' see about this in his own time. Family coming, faith coming to the strength of the Most High. Gonna carry you. Peace be still, peace be still. That's just how we feel. Peace be still, peace be still. Keep your faith for real. Carmelo, stay strong. Keep holding on.
All right, hello everyone, Grand Rising. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur, and this is your morning wake-up call. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. Also, don't forget to double check and make sure that you're still subscribed, especially if you have not been receiving your notifications. And also, you can always find the links posted on my X accounts or the community tab. With that all being said, let's see who's in here. All right, hello, Mel, Chris B, Nessa G, Pearly is here, Jerron. All right, let's get into it. Ladybug, Danielle. Everybody hit that like button. Thank you. Nubia Rob, Bookhorse DC. All right, let's get it popping. Eastport, Mr. Elevation, the fourth day. All right, KQB is here. Deronda, Jaden. All right, Pearly, did I say you? Alice is here. OG Patrice. All right, Lillian X, Desmond. That Crazy Beach Aries, we the people. Okay, Queen Amoni Huey. All right. So shout out to all of my loyal royals and everyone tuning into the Queen. And a big shout out to my moderators because y'all know they be putting in work. I see you, E. Warrell. Okay, Juju B is here. Kay the Goddess. All right. Let's get into it. Pretty Wing, Table of It. Betty Boop. Okay. Cherokee Descendant Dale. male, a lip licker. Okay. All right. So with that all been said, let's have a brief word from my sponsor at 12 Tribe. Take Quiet Storm, and then we'll get started. Nubia Raw. Here we go.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
All right, so don't forget you can purchase 12 Tribes hair oil at Etsy.com. Just look for Lisa Crafts. And you can also find her products at Walmart.com. With that all been said, don't forget that she also sells beard oil. Okay, so let's get ready to get into it. So they recently had justice walks for both Carmelo Anthony and Nolan Wells. Okay, so let's start with Carmelo because he's headed back to court soon, and it looks like the nefarious haters are trying desperately to block his appeal. Let's get into it. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. Here we go.
Anthony seeks a new trial. Anthony was found guilty of first-degree murder for stabbing 17-year-old Austin Metcalf to death last year during a high school track meet. He claims it was self-defense. Anthony's lawyers argue the trial was effectively closed to the public, that prosecutors did not honor an off-the-record evidentiary agreement, and that the jury instructions were misleading. They also say the original judge was biased.
Let me know your thoughts over in the comments, you guys. But for a little bit more clarification, Carmelo Anthony has not been granted a new trial just yet because they have to have a hearing about this. The hearing is supposed to take place next month. I believe they said it's going to take place on the 19th and on the 20th of August. But during that little hearing and everything, they will determine whether or not Carmelo Anthony will, in fact, actually receive a brand new trial. Because you have to think about it like this as well, you guys. There were similar cases also that took place around the same time frame and even last year down in Texas. And those individuals who ended up getting convicted of those crimes that were very similar to this case in itself, those individuals ended up getting probation, or they ended up going to prison for only a few years. Even one individual who ended up literally shooting at someone as they were running away, they ended up getting a 4-year sentence, and they only ended up having to do 1 year on their sentence before they were even released. So for them to give this young man a 35-year sentence as compared to these other crimes that took place down in Texas that were very similar, let me know your thoughts over in the comments. But also, you guys, after the trial ended and everything, there was so much new information that ended up getting released to the public where even the public wondered, why didn't that get brought up at trial? Why didn't his attorneys bring up that? Because that or those other findings that ended up getting released to the public after the trial took place really showed a different picture than what we actually knew during this whole trial, since it was closed to the public. So once more, you guys, let me know your thoughts over in the comments.
Anthony seeks a new trial. Anthony.
Well, as we all know, because we've seen and gone over the receipts at this point, that Mike Howard, Carmelo's attorney, or his previous attorney, came out and said all of these things, basically spilled all the tea to the shenanigans that were going on, all of the inappropriate things that happened. But now they're saying that that's not true. So they say that transcripts, basically contradict the things that he's saying. So in other words, they're saying that he's lying. Okay, they're saying that he's lying. And remember, the DA came out and spoke about it and spoke about Carmelo's case and said that he's very confident that, in fact, the appeal is going to be denied. So that's what the devils are working on. Now, it was reported just a few days ago. They say Collin County District Attorney Greg Willis is speaking publicly for the first time about accusations from Mike Howard, the lead defense attorney, during Carmelo Anthony's trial. Anthony was convicted of murdering Austin Metcalf and sentenced to 35 years in prison. Now, Howard's affidavit filed as part of Anthony's appeal alleges prosecutors violated a gentleman's agreement to avoid introducing character or background information about Anthony, Austin Metcalf, and Hunter Metcalf. Now, Howard also claims the judge rushed a critical closed-door hearing, limiting the defense's ability to prepare. Now, some people are saying, the haters, that is, the MAGA minions, they're basically saying, why are they trying to blame it on the DA and saying that he rushed it, or the judge rushed it, when they said that he had basically a whole year while he was on house arrest? Why didn't they prepare for these things then? But the bottom line is, they made this deal because that's what Mike Howard wanted to do. And Mike Howard just doesn't want to lose his license to practice. So that's why he told all of this stuff. But now they're saying that the transcripts contradicted. Now, that's no surprise, because what they're in fact saying is the part of the transcripts that contradicts it is nothing that everyone in the court heard. It was just like sidebar conversations between Greg Willis and Mike Howard and the judge. Okay, so how do we know that this is even true? Because we know they can doctor transcripts. They can doctor anything. These are the good old boys, okay? Southern Fried Justice is the only way that they know how to do it. And that means justice for them, not us. Okay, so quite frankly, I don't trust the transcripts. And why did it take so long for them to come out? That's very suspicious. Okay, that is very suspicious. I mean, it took months, right? So according to the affidavit, the agreement prevented the defense from using expert witnesses or calling Anthony to testify because it restricted the jury to hearing only what happened under the tent that day. But Willis says the court transcripts that were obtained by CBS News Texas, they tell a different story, according to him. Now, we all know that Willis is clearly not to be trusted. Hasn't he been sued? Okay, yes. Now, with that all been said, he goes on to say, it's clear that many of these claims don't match what actually happened in court. During a private meeting between Judge Cockroach, prosecutors, and the defense, specifically about whether Anthony would testify, Howard acknowledged that the agreement was intact. So they're saying that what he's now saying in his affidavit totally contradicts what he said previously. They're going to say, I agreed that the deal, for lack of a better term, was held. I believe that both parties have abided by it. This is what they say Howard says. Now, Judge Cockroach reminded both sides that he was not bound by any informal agreement. I am not here to enforce agreements between parties in a criminal case. If asked to make a ruling, it will be based on the rules of evidence. Now, Howard's affidavit claims he was 99% sure Anthony would testify before the trial and that the judge declined to extend our time beyond 10 minutes. Now, according to the transcripts, they say that they were actually given 30 minutes. Okay, it shows that the transcripts supposedly show that the judge gave Anthony a lengthy explanation of his rights. The defense also is said to have had more than 30 minutes afterward to decide how to proceed. And Anthony was allowed to consult with his parents before making his decision. Ultimately, Anthony told the judge, I don't want to testify. Now, Judge Cockroach then asked whether he had enough time to make that decision. Did you think you had ample time to talk with your attorneys about that and got feedback from them, feedback from your family? You have had enough time to make the decision. That's what he asked. And to which he says, Carmelo replied, yes, sir, I did. So Willis says that he was taken aback by Howard's claims. He said, I was surprised, disappointed, and frankly, a little confused. Willis added that the prosecution team, led by Bill Werski, who also was sued, handled the case properly. Okay. And then he says, I was there for every minute of the trial. Our prosecution team conducted this case so fairly and cleanly and professionally. First of all, when someone is using all of those terms to try to make something sound so good and like they did such the right thing, you already know they're full of BS, okay? You already know they're full of BS. Over talking is always a clue that somebody's trying to hide something, all right? At least in my opinion. Now, Willis says he believes Anthony's appeal will be denied. He said, I feel good. I know what happened, and I know that our lawyers conducted themselves in good faith. I felt like there was fair play between the prosecution and the defense throughout the entire trial. Now, the first hearing related to the appeal could take place as early as next month. So, like I said, the devils are clearly trying it. Okay, that's what they're doing. And as per usual, hey, the lounge, beloved. Okay, so now with that all being said, let's go to this video of Chris King, and I need to have him back on the show, but dragging Jeff Metcalf. Now, you all remember I reported to you the other day that Jeff Metcalf has this fake foundation, acting like he wants to help people, and he's got this raccoon sitting up there with him, just to vouch for him. I guess we're all supposed to think that because he has this Negro sitting beside him, that we're not supposed to think he's still racist. Okay, well, I'm sure that won't fly, but let's continue.
Okay, what you already said, Jeffrey, it's already out there. You, sir, are the one that started this exact race war that we're in right now.
And we're going to teach the youth and the parents about impulse control, conflict resolution, and de-escalation.
The walking with intent, as if it was almost predator versus prey.
There was never a punch even thrown.
Carmelo's body is still sitting down. Do y'all see him in the middle? They're punching him in the middle. Right? I'm going back and forth so y'all can see this. Yes, it happened quick, but this is what happened. This is one of the goons, Austin's goons, and this is Austin and Hunter. Carmelo is in the middle. Top of the tent. This guy is still there. This boy was assaulting Carmelo from one side, and Austin and Hunter was assaulting Carmelo from the other side. Yeah.
When he was alive, I didn't necessarily like Austin. that guy was he was a little shit starter. He wasn't a bully, but he was in fights.
All right then, Jeff, back to this foundation. First of all, you can't be trusted. You're a liar. All right? Your characterization to me is one thing. What it is I'm a journalist and an attorney. But more importantly, you're saying that I was afraid of you or something. No, you were blocked for a minute because you tried to friend me and I accidentally blocked you. I've written you directly, as you can see. I've invited you to come talk, and you didn't. So nobody's afraid of you, okay? I'm still available to talk with you on a panel. Let's do it. Let's bring Skylar too. Also, Jeff, you're going to talk about de-escalation when just a month and a half ago, you were threatening to, what? String us up when we least expect it. You don't know how bad I want to. And this was, of course, after you went and stole some seats from people in the courthouse to suit yourself.
That's how this trial came to be, is because his kids are bullies and want to bully people out of their seat. And what did he do? He turned around and sat and did it to all of us inside the courtroom and laughed about it. So where do you think his kids learn to be bullies at? Product of their environment.
I'm going to be called the traitor, sell out, all of these things. And I'm cool with that.
Listen, guys, I've been here already. We had a nonprofit I started in law school called the Education Coalition. We were much lauded, much respected, much in demand. You will not be. This feels a lot more like a tax dodge or some kind of a disingenuous damage control. And as far as your buddy there, look, Mr. Carter, I'm not going to call you out your name, but I am going to ask you a couple of questions later, if that's okay. And oh, Skylar's back. Oh, Skylar's back. Like a bad foot fungus. You're the one who can't even tell the truth about the fact that I won the motion to dismiss against the Liquor and Cannabis Board over black and brown speech. Because you don't like black and brown speech, do you? Especially when we're smarter than you. Bye-bye, Skylar.
For America. This is a human race issue. Not a race issue, a human race issue. Skin color.
This is the TikTok friendly version right here, okay? Because if I run the other version, then Jeffy's N-bombs and B-bombs. They'll mute my sound there on TikTok. Skylar, listen, I'll take this opportunity now. I saw that you doubted that I invited Jeff back. I did. It was posted, and y'all ran it down off the internet, right? And so I've also written him directly, as you see in this video. So go ahead, scoop him up. Since you tight with him, all that, I'm sure he respects you. Scoop him up, and my black ass will be waiting right here for you for a debate any day, sister. But I feel if you have some spare time, maybe you could moderate a debate between the two of us. We can charge for attendance and give the money to the Anthony family for the money that Mike Howard basically stole from them with his buddy Toby Shook. Over and out. Kingcast at your service.
I'm furious at the way I was treated without being able to respond. And you can't say nothing. And that gag order, I guess it only applied to me.
How do you tell when Jeff Metcalf is lying? His lips are moving. Jeff, you were not gagged. You had one of the most effective mouthpieces the world could ever have. A sitting U.S. congressman whose sons are besties with yours, right? Whose sons were at that event that day and probably underneath the tent while he's going around calling Carmelo a dirtbag or whatever it was. In the pendency of the case. Shut up, Jeff. You're a liar. Pat Fallon.
And furthermore, his son, Patrick Fallon Jr., was at the track meet. And furthermore, he was under that tent. Yeah, fam.
So some of the witnesses, Bill, are very dear friends of ours as well. So as soon as it happened, I was talking to some of the eyewitnesses that now, it testified in the trial, and they were kind of would be described as star witnesses.
And since you have gone so far as to take the liberty to call Carmelo Anthony a scumbag, it is now incumbent of you, pardon the pun, to restore some integrity to this situation. Now let's get one thing straight. 3. Why were you interviewing students the day of the tragedy? You're not a criminal investigator, are you? If you are, let me see those credentials and how you were involved in this case. 4. Were either of your sons present underneath the canopy during the time that Carmelo was present? 5. If not, what were the exact whereabouts at that time? 6. Did one of your sons repost this racist meme with Carmelo Anthony referencing chimpanzees? 7. Given that you called Carmelo Anthony a scumbag, do you condone this type of posting from your kids? Are you a racist also? How about Susan? Tell us. 8. Other than his actions as alleged on April 2nd, 2025, what evidence do you have that led you to call Carmelo Anthony a scumbag, especially given that he has worked 2 jobs, had a 3.7 GPA, and saved the life of another person on prior occasion from drowning? Y'all can miss me with your fake, holier-than-thou, virtue-signaling Christianity. You can miss me with your fake investigations. You can miss me with your fake trials. And you can miss us at the polls, too, buddy. Yeah.
This is the problem we have with families right now, the disconnect, the dysfunction. Communication is key.
Now, Bruce, you look kind of nonplussed sitting there. But anyway, it's your turn now. I wouldn't want you to feel left out while I'm handing out the scoldings. So, first of all, you look kind of nonplussed to be there. And, look like you're kind of on a hell ride or a kamikaze mission for a buddy who called in a favor or something, right? Now, you got a shady background with the weapons. That's one thing, all right? But then somehow you ended up doing other shady stuff for Trump. And you kind of got dog walked there, didn't you? And there were some serious ethical considerations there, weren't there? Yes, there were, okay? So I think this whole foundation is a sham. I hope people look into it vigorously. I really do. But now, let's get back to more specifics on this case, all right? What kind of growth has Jeff demonstrated to you since the courtroom mean streak diatribe that he went on and taking seats from women, okay? You got the child abuse from 6 months old, right? You got the juvenile offender, and add to that the racist graffiti. You got the father-in-law who apparently wanted to whoop his ass, as Austin threatened Carmelo to, right? You got the sexual assault report right there, right? And then you got the fact that he went after a fencing person criminally over a civil matter. And then you got the 2014 fraud case that he settled, civil case involving black people, I'm pretty sure. So what on earth is possessing you to move forward with this guy? Are you desperate? See, you're not going to get anything past me, buddy. I was a field scout for Dick Gephardt, a good centrist Democrat. right? Yeah. That's all. I'm going to leave this on a note, with a note to these Metcalfian clowns, because you guys are out here behind your keyboards wearing white sheets, pretty much, won't show your faces. You're reporting us whenever you can to try to stifle black speech. We're not going to have it, all right? Now remember, right here, what's this fathead, fact checker, admitted doing things that were so heinous and racist that he couldn't live with himself? And who did he work for? Yeah, we all know. That's right. Reaper, all you guys, all of you. Bring it on, guys. I'll be right here. I'll throw my hat in the ring.
And be able to make a real change in this world.
Yeah, Jeff Metcalf, you're a racist ass prick.
I have started a nonprofit foundation called the Austin Metcalf Foundation.
God says there's going to be people out there who will deceive you.
And I want to go around and speak to the youth.
Jeff, I've heard countless times over and over that you made a claim that Austin grabbed Carmelo's bag. Can you tell me if that's true or not?
My understanding of that is correct.
Do you think this was a situation that happened off of your son's quote-unquote alleged actions?
That's all you do. Talk.
Yes, my question is, do you understand why this has such a racial divide? Or like, why such a racial thing?
Yeah, it's called race baiters and hustlers who graft and grift for money and fame. I could go get a job, but that's not fulfilling.
You drunk. I got a new name for Melo, okay? Because he was such this little boy I was trying to portray. How about watermelon felon? How's that one strike you?
It's not just black people that are racist. White people are racist too. As I said before, this was never about black or white. I'm sorry?
Black people cannot be racist.
Are you that ignorant? To be honest, I've been floundering for a year, wondering where God was going to take me. Jesus is not here. Whether it be at churches, high schools, college campuses, whatever speaking events, and spread the word so we can try to save lives. Do you know the 5 merits of self-defense and text to be ready to equal that?
I know that you should have taught your children not to put their hands on anyone.
We're talking law. If I serve,
good luck, you dumb shit.
So for me, now I'm driven with a mission and a purpose. So I feel when I wake up every day, I'm excited about what I'm going to do. Hopefully, I can save lives.
Well, you've been talking about your faith all night. What would Jesus have done? What would Jesus had kicked Carmelo out?
Bring religion and use Jesus as your example. Jesus is not here. I can make a change, and I can spread the word and make awareness for other people and other parents and other kids, so this situation doesn't occur again.
I hope he enjoyed his first night in that cell last night.
Okay, but he's supposed to be such a Christian, talking about God and talking about how he wants to help people. Okay, he's still a whole racist. We're supposed to believe that he's turned over a new leaf and made such a drastic change in just a matter of days. Okay, weeks. Please make it all make sense. He meant every word that he said. This whole thing with his foundation is nothing more than another grift. And it's just amazing to me how these people sit here, these minions, and they sit here and talk about Nolan's family raising money, Carmelo's family raising money. I'm here to tell you that these people are only upset and bothered because we have started putting money behind our people to help them fight for justice. Okay, the same things that they've been doing when they know their people are absolutely in the wrong. Who gives almost $1 million to a woman who called a 5-year-old child used a hateful slur or a racial slur in hate speech on a 5-year-old? Who sends that type of person money? They do. But then they'll sit here and try to go in on us and say, oh, you're defending a murderer. Why are you supporting a murderer? When they've been doing that for years. Derek Chauvin, Amber Geiger, George Zimmerman. I mean, the list goes on. And all of those people were cold-blooded, calculated killers. As far as I'm concerned, they all did what they wanted to do intentionally. Okay, no one even provoked any of them. No one provoked any of them. They were the provocateurs in every single case. Carmelo was merely defending himself, but they want to try to go in on us. But see, this is what devils do. They always try to flip the script. Like stuff, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance.
Carmelo Anthony was convicted of murder and sentenced to 35 years in prison for the fatal stabbing of Austin Metcalf at a Texas high school track meet. His attorneys have now filed motions seeking a new trial and asking for the judge to be removed from the case, arguing that legal errors and judicial bias affected the outcome. Anthony is expected back in court in August, where the judge will consider those post-trial motions. And as of today, his conviction and 35-year sentence remain in effect. Listen, I believe Carmelo Anthony deserves a fair trial. A lot of people have argued that he didn't receive one, and I understand why those concerns have been raised. I do think there is a possibility that racial bias may have played a role in how this case was handled. It was. And that's something that should always be taken seriously whenever questions about fairness arise, especially when it comes to racism. I'm praying that Carmelo is granted a new trial, that he gets a new judge, and that his new legal team is able to present the strongest case possible. Personally, I felt like his previous legal team didn't do enough to fully advocate for him. Hopefully, this new team will take a different approach and ensure every relevant piece of evidence is properly presented. Even if he isn't ultimately acquitted, I hope the court carefully considers all of the facts. A 35-year sentence is significant, especially considering that the defense argued the stabbing was an act of self-defense. There is publicly available video showing the Metcalf brothers approaching Carmelo along with other boys before the confrontation. Whether that evidence supports a legal claim of self-defense is ultimately for the courts to decide. But many people believe the jury should have heard a more complete picture of everything that happened leading up to the stabbing. My hope is that if a new trial is granted, or any witnesses or evidence that were not presented the first time, if the court determines they are admissible, will be heard so the jury can evaluate the case with as much relevant information as possible. At the end of the day, this isn't about choosing sides. It's about making sure the justice system works the same way it does for everybody else. Every defendant deserves a fair trial. Every victim deserves justice, and every verdict should be based on all of the admissible evidence and the law.
That was very well said, and he's absolutely right. Now let's go to this walk for justice they had for Carmelo. Likes up, everyone. Please don't forget to like and share. Thank you in advance.
What's his name? Nolan. Those chants echoed through Jones Park and Gulfport. Supporters marched down Highway 90.
Sorry, that's the wrong clip. Now, I thought it was interesting. Because they had walks for both of these young men like days apart. But what's even more interesting is even after this audio has come out, we now see that the FBI, obviously, they don't care about the evidence. Okay? They obviously don't care about it. Because they're coming out saying that this whole thing looks like nothing more than an accident. Now, we've heard the audio, and we're going to listen to it again. Okay, we're going to listen to it again because an audio engineer has supposedly enhanced it even more. And also, so did Dane Calloway. So we're going to listen to both versions. Okay, here it is. Now, this walk was yesterday. And J Love the Queen, thank you for being a member to the channel, beloved. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings.
March through Baton Rouge today, calling for an appealed conviction and a new trial for Carmelo Anthony. The 19-year-old is serving a 35-year sentence for the stabbing death of 17-year-old Austin Metcalf at a Texas high school track meet. As News 2's Leah Williams reports, the march is the first in an effort to bring more nationwide attention to the case.
Activists marched through Baton Rouge. From the state capitol to Gus Young Park.
We're going to march
because that is the language of the unheard. You got to put your feet to the pavement, not your fingers to social media.
Calling for a retrial for 19-year-old Carmelo Anthony. During a 2025 high school track meet in Frisco, Texas, Anthony, who was 17 at the time, sat under another school's tent while it was raining. Witnesses say 17-year-old Austin Metcalf repeatedly asked Anthony to leave, and Anthony responded by saying, quote, "Touch me and see what happens." Witnesses claim Metcalf shoved or nudged Anthony before Anthony stabbed Metcalf, killing him. Metcalf's twin brother was there at the track meet as his brother was dying.
He knew how much I loved him. I tried to whip around as fast as I could, but I didn't see the stab. But then I looked at my brother, and then I'm not going to talk about the rest.
Just because the kid was mad, my son is not here anymore, and I don't understand it.
Anthony's attorney claimed the teen used self-defense when stabbing Metcalf, which was rejected by the jury. Activists feel like Anthony did not get a fair trial, partially because there were no black jurors selected. They want his conviction overturned.
You can have an opinion about if it was right or wrong, but we all should have the same opinion that the court system in America should be fair and it should be transparent. And that actually clearly was not done in this case.
According to reports from multiple ABC affiliates, Anthony was born in Baton Rouge. LaShawna Thompson, who participated in the march, says this case hit a nerve.
When I heard the verdict, I was driving. I pulled over and I cried my heart out. I cried so much. It is close to home because I have a teenage son. And ever since this happened, I go in, I hug him extra tight.
Anthony's defense team filed an appeal for a new trial and a new judge in this case. In Baton Rouge, Leah Williams, WBRZ News 2.
All right. So, like I said, they really don't want this young man to get an appeal. They're now saying that Mike Howard lied. They're trying to discount all the information that he put in that affidavit. And I believe every word of it is true, even though we know the only reason he told all of that is to save himself. But that's beside the point. At the end of the day, everything he said absolutely matches up to what we all witnessed, to what we all heard about, to what we all saw or heard from people who were actually in the courtroom. I'm not talking about Fox News and CBS, because they clearly painted narratives. Okay, that's what they did. They tried to control the narrative. And even when you listen to these clips, you know, they always talk about what Carmelo did, and they make no mention of what Anthony did. Of what Austin did. They make no mention of anything that he did wrong. And they have never said anything on the news about him being a whole bully, about how he did those cheerleaders, about how the day of the incident, he was at the middle school, he and his brother, harassing another student, a female student at that. And like I said before, I absolutely believe that they got their hatred, disdain, and their joy that they got from bullying girls from their father, who is an alleged abuser himself. Okay, and also, according to reports, an alleged offender. But he has the audacity, when he was charged with a whole felony, allegedly, he has the audacity to call Carmelo a watermelon felon. And now we're supposed to just act like we don't know that he said all those nefarious things about black folk and just let him walk on through here like he's trying to help the community, like he's trying to teach people how to have conflict resolution. Maybe if he'd ever learned conflict resolution, his son wouldn't be dead. Okay? And he wouldn't be looked at as the scum of the earth by so many. But let's continue. Like stuff, everyone, please like and share. Now, let's get into what the FBI said, because I find this all interesting. Did they not hear the video? I'm pretty sure they did. Okay, I'm pretty sure they did. And here's another thing I just want to point out to you all. You know, it's really interesting because the fact that we have all heard the video, we've all heard the audio that was released by Cito, and it's been enhanced and all of that. So my question is, why didn't the police go and confiscate this audio and for evidence? Because when the boys said that they didn't see Nolan since 3 o'clock, Okay, they didn't know where he was. They didn't know anything. Nobody saw nothing. If they were really doing a complete, thorough, and fair investigation as they want us to think, why didn't they go and get the information about that phone call? I'm sure they knew it existed, right? Why didn't they go and get their phone records? Why didn't they do any of that? And here's the thing. I find it very interesting that these thugs, because that's what they are, in my opinion, have been allowed to mislead investigators, discard evidence, allegedly. Okay? And I mean the deleted text messages, which they claim they didn't do because they say they didn't even know Nolan's password. Of course, I don't believe them. Now, you mean to tell me they can do those few things? Okay, they can be caught numerous of lies. They can tell contradicting stories. They can be said to have been scrubbing a boat, but nobody's been arrested. So we're supposed to sit here and wait for a grand jury to decide. See, this is the epitome of white privilege. This is what would never happen to a Black person who was accused or even thought to have done such, even if they didn't have proof. Okay, I guarantee you, had some white teenager, 18 years old, gone off with 3 or 4 Black folk and didn't show up, and the Black people were acting equally as sketchy as they all were, of course, heads would have rolled. People would absolutely have been taken in for questioning and arrested eventually days later when they started gathering and collecting the evidence, especially and specifically when they heard the audio that was in the background of the call for a tow. Or when they got the GPS data that showed that they really couldn't have gotten a tow, because how did they travel back and forth? And why was the call made from the same vicinity and proximity of where Nolan's body was found? This is all probable cause. But I guess they're going to ignore probable cause down there in Ocean Springs. And I guess that the FBI too is going to ignore probable cause, because to them, they claim that there's nothing to see here, folks. No evidence of foul play. Well, the only reason there would be no evidence of foul play is because they haven't collected any evidence, or they've chosen to ignore the evidence or discarded the evidence. Okay, one of the three. Let's get into it. Likes up, everyone, please. Like and share. Thank you in advance.
18-year-old whose death during a 4th of July boat trip to a remote Mississippi island is igniting nationwide debate. Jennifer, I want to take a moment to hear what Stephen A. Smith said about this case on Cuomo just a few days ago.
Listen, you're a dad. I'm a dad. We send our children out. And first of all, regardless of what ethnicity, regardless of what color we're talking about here, we send our children out, and you're the only one that doesn't come home alive. I'll be damned if the Chris Cuomo that I know doesn't want answers and doesn't expect answers. You know me, and I'm going to push for answers. So for no one to have answers as to what happens is when the suspicion elevates exponentially.
Seeing the video of Nolan is just so heartbreaking. He seems like such a happy kid. Now, the Daily Mail has identified a 19-year-old young woman who Nolan was last seen speaking to. Now, his friends said he chose to stay behind on Horn Island with that woman. But the woman's sister is claiming that's not true. He was ready to get back on the boat that he came on. Are all these differing accounts and a lack of understanding concerning to you?
Well, I think two things can be true at once. It makes sense that he went off to see about a girl, as they say, and that they had conversation and that he decided to go back and be with friends. So I think it's more of a timing issue rather than something that is untrue on either end. I think both can be true at the same time.
Nolan's death is going to the Mississippi grand jury. The DA said something interesting, that the evidence will not be public until the grand jury reviews it first. The DA says this is to protect the integrity of the investigation and that the grand jury will ultimately decide if someone will be charged. Jennifer, do you believe someone could be charged in his death? Is this just an accident gone terribly wrong?
Well, with what we know, in other words, review of all the surveillance information we have with actually getting to hear from one of the witnesses, one of his best friends that was there throughout the situation, listening to the calls that were made, the Coast Guard contact, as well as the Riptide situation in that area. When you add it all together, what we see publicly seems to be an accident. Having said that, of course, there's going to be information. 60 witnesses interviewed. I doubt if this, from what we know, will come back with the truth.
All right. Hopefully the families, both families, get some answers. Jennifer Coffindaffer, thank you. I'll see you soon.
I used to think all doctors were the same. Then I switched to Oak Street Health.
Now, I would like to know what gave her the idea that there was nothing to see here, that this was all just merely an accident. What gave her and Tate Reeves that idea? Have they not been paying attention to social media? Of course they have. We know that the FBI follows social media. And how do we know that? Because we've seen people who are content creators put up videos of the FBI coming to their homes for things that they supposedly said on social media. So we know that they watch social media. So that means that we also know that they've heard and seen the same videos and heard the same audio that we have. And with that being said, just pay attention, because there will not be justice. They don't want any justice. Okay, they don't want any justice, and they're trying to sweep this under the rug. Now, they never intended or never thought that this case would grow and gain such massive attention, nationwide. That's what they never expected. And so now the devils are scrambling to try to just get rid of it all. The best thing they could come up with is, we'll just wait. We won't put out any evidence. We'll just wait and tell all the officials to keep quiet. Don't do any interviews. Clearly, they forgot to tell the thugs not to do interviews. Thank God for that. But anyway, this is all crazy. Let's continue. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. So I guess we're all supposed to just sit here and act like Trayson didn't have on dirty arse pants when he did that interview with Tatum the other day. We'll get to that in a moment. But in the meantime, let's go to this audio that was enhanced by a woman who's an audio engineer, I do believe. And so she only did like 37 seconds because she started feeling some type of way after. But let's get into it.
Audio engineer with experience in dialogue editing, dialogue cleanup, sound design, and post-production, I decided to work on that CTO call using traditional audio processing techniques rather than relying on any AI voice separation or AI enhancement. My goal was pretty much to preserve as much of the original recording as possible while making the quieter dialogue and background audio easier to hear. So I basically use techniques such as subtractive EQ, compression, gain adjustments, noise reduction, frequency isolation, and other traditional processing methods. So what I did was I separated Vicky, the CTO dispatcher, from Warren and the audio originating from the boat so that I can concentrate more closely on what was happening behind and around Warren, pretty much on the boat. And I specifically chose not to rely on AI because aggressive AI enhancements and voice isolation tools can sometimes introduce artifacts and distort the speech or create ambiguity around the sounds that were originally present. And for something this serious, I wanted my processing to remain as conservative as possible. You'll also notice time code and dialogue written on the side of the screen and pop up during each segment. That dialogue represents what I personally hear as an audio engineer while processing and repeatedly reviewing these sections. I'm pretty much providing it as a listening reference, not as a declaration that my interpretation is the only possible interpretation. And that's important. I want you to listen for yourself, use headphones if you have them, listen closely, and decide with your own ears what you believe is being said. You can also return to the original unprocessed recording and compare directly with what you're hearing here. Also notice that my time code may not match the regular timestamp on the original uploaded video. And that's because I'm working inside a professional post-production timeline, a digital audio workstation, basically using simply time code, which in film that's displayed in hours, minutes, seconds, and frames. Film and TV timelines are completely different from timestamps that you see when you're watching regular videos or when you're watching a movie and you hit pause. So basically the time code on the screen is there to identify the precise location within my working session, not to represent the elapsed timestamp displayed by the original video player. And I hope that makes sense. For this first video, I'm sharing only approximately 37 seconds of the call. I originally intended to continue much further, but once I separated the dispatcher from the boat and started concentrating exclusively on the background dialogue, what I was hearing became extremely difficult for me to process emotionally, and I needed to take a mental break. But I wanted to release this portion because some of the details that stood out most to me occurred very early in the call, like right at the top of the call. And so I'm gonna let the audio play, read my transcription if you want to reference, but don't allow it to determine what you hear. I want you to listen first, listen again, compare it with the original recording, and then judge it with your own ears. I hope this breakdown helps. And my
Hey, we're at the west tip of Horn, and our bilge pump stopped working. We're sinking. Can y'all please come? We have a membership. Shut the fuck up!
Okay, now, so what do you all think? Because it was kind of iffy for me. I mean, it was a little clear. I actually think that Dane Calloway did a much better job. That's just my opinion. Okay, that's just my opinion. Like, stuff, everyone, please like and share. Now we're gonna actually go to his. But I did hear them say, damn it, Bart. And I'm thinking, who is Bart? Now I have questions because is Bart the person that is Bart the same person that Warren was talking about and referring to? And then he never said the name. He just kept saying my buddy. And he was very careful not to mention who that person was. Okay, I just have several questions. But now, like I said, let's go to the one that was done by Dane Calloway. Like, everyone, please like and share. And also, shout out to Dane Calloway. Okay, here we go.
Tito assistant. Tito assistant. Tito assistant. Tito assistant. Vicky speaking. How can I help you?
Hey, we're at the west tip of Horn, and our bilge pump stopped working. We're sinking. Can y'all please come? We have a membership.
All right, of course. How far is the water coming up, sir? All right, of course. How far is the water coming up, sir? All right, of course. how far is the wording coming up, sir? All right, of course. How far is the wording coming up, sir? Can you give me a description? Ankles? Hello? 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 Hello?
Hey.
Yes, how far is the water coming up, sir?
It's coming up. We're just sinking. I don't know. Like we're going down now.
All right, well, let's get you going. Membership number or phone number listed on the account, sir?
I don't know the phone number. It's either. I think it's. Try that.
All right.
I know we have a membership like guaranteed.
All right.
I know we have a membership like guaranteed.
All right.
I know we have a membership like guaranteed.
All right.
I know we have a membership like guaranteed. I don't have the tag
unless
on
you
here.
have a
It got ripped
membership
off.
number or anything, it's okay. I'll get you over to the captain. What's the best phone number to reach you at?
Reach me at 2.
All right. And is everybody on board in good health otherwise?
Yeah, everybody's
How
on
many?
board.
All right. Do you need the United States Coast Guard?
What?
All right. Do you need the United States Coast Guard?
What?
All right. Do you need the United States Coast Guard?
What?
Do you need the United States Coast Guard?
No, we do not need that.
All right. All right. All right. All right. All right. Do you have your current GPS coordinates?
Let me go look.
If not, I can send you a text message.
All right, are you ready?
Yes, sir. I'm available.
North 30 degrees by 4672.
All right, 4672. All right, and you were breaking up a little bit. Can you just repeat it one more time to make sure I have it correct?
Sorry, look.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, what?
So you're breaking up. If you need assistance, do you have a VHF radio?
No, we do not have a VHF radio.
All right, well, let's try to get you going because you don't have good cell phone reception. Can you verify your coordinates one more time?
Okay, my coordinates are 30 degrees by 14.684 north, and then west by 88 degrees by 46.79.
Right, it looks like you're on Horn Island, correct? Are you
Yes,
on
we are
Horn
at Horn
Island?
Island. Yes.
All right, is the boat sinking or you have it aground?
We are sinking, yes.
Is it aground is the question?
No, we're not aground. We are in 17 foot of water. We're in 31 foot of water.
All right, have to ask. What do you want to do? Do you want to be towed back?
I want to get this boat unsank and towed back, yes.
All right, where would you like it towed to, sir?
You can tow it to Ocean Springs Harbor, or Fort Bayou Lawn.
All right, how many adults and children on board?
No, there's no children.
So, is there anybody on board? How many adults, sir? That was the question.
Hey, Florida. Drop it off.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hey, Florida. Drop it off.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hey, Florida. Drop it off.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hey, Florida. Drop it off.
Hello, can you hear me?
Gotta jump in and pull the plug while you're going.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Yep, I just need you to answer these questions so I can get you over to the captain.
Okay.
How many adults on board?
There are 0 adults on board.
There's nobody on board the boat?
No. Nobody here is over the age of 21.
Sir, that was not the question. Is there a person? Is there a person, a living individual on the boat?
Hello?
Is there a living person, someone breathing on the boat? Is there anybody on the boat?
Yes, there's lots of people breathing on the boat.
All right, how many people, sir?
Like 7 people.
All right, thank you. Does that...
Like 7 people.
All right, thank you. Does that...
Like 7 people.
All right, thank you. Does that...
Like 7 people.
All right, thank you. Does everyone have life jackets on or available to them?
Yes, we have life jackets available.
All right, verify what boat's sinking.
A Triton, 22-foot offshore, 22-foot Triton offshore sea flight hull.
All right. All right. Please hold. I'm transferring you to the local captain now.
Okay, thank you. This is Captain Seth.
Hi, Captain Seth. This is Vicky from International. How you doing today?
Doing good. How are you?
Good, good. I apologize ahead of time. I really do. You're going to have a fee for service come up under...
Okay.
It sounds like a bunch of kids on board on Horn Island. He's letting me know that his father's a member, but he can't give me any information. And he's saying the boat is sinking, and he's on Horn Island. It's just unfortunate. He's just a kid. There's a lot going on. So he said there's about a lot of people on board. He says he thinks about 7. I'm guessing they're all under 18. And I'm not trying to be rude. He wants you guys to go out there and unpump the boat and then tow it in.
Do you know what kind of boat it is?
He said a Triton 24-footer, but that's all he can give me.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I just actually got off the phone with his grandpa, who I'm guessing is the owner of the boat. And he said,
okay.
I just hung up with him. He said that they don't need any help right now, but if something changes, he'll call me back. So I'm guessing that they may have figured it out, because that's what he said. So they're in a panic and their boat won't crank.
Yeah, they're in a panic. He's saying the bilge is not keeping up. I asked for Coast Guard. He said no, but he's just really upset on the back end. And, I get it. It's a kid. He just doesn't understand.
Oh, okay. Do you still have him on the line?
Yes, I still have him on the line. And, again, I couldn't find he couldn't give me anything regarding his grandfather's, membership, so it's just under fee for service.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I just talked to, if you want to, we're so tied up right now. We can't really do any non-member jobs right now.
Is he a member? Did you find out if he was a member or not?
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's his boat or what. I'm not sure what's going on with it. Yeah, transfer the kid over. I'll talk to him, and then I'll call his grandpa back as well.
All right. And did you want me to look up membership number or anything like that to see if he's up? I know you guys are.
You can try this cell phone number.
Yes, sir.
Anything on his phone number?
All right. Yep. He's an active member. Hold on.
What kind of boat do you have on there? Same boat?
Yeah, he's one of your members. Yep, 22-foot Triton. All right, I'll just disregard this one. I'm going to send you over an accurate one under this one, okay? He's one of your members. You'll get in a couple minutes, okay?
Okay, perfect. All right, and just transfer this kid over whenever you get a chance.
All right, transfer him now. Thank you again, Captain.
All righty.
Stay safe out there. It's crazy. Have a drink.
Oh, it's wild. All righty, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Hello? Hello? Are you there? I apologize. I will be disconnecting due to lack of response.
Okay, so you all heard that. You all heard that? They hung up because that was all a ruse to be used as an alibi. Now, Desmond says, Queen, I heard that Wig 2 copied you yesterday. Well, you know, Wig 2 copies me every chance that she gets. And yes, someone sent me her video from yesterday where she tried to take the credit for being the one to acknowledge that the call for the tow that they never got was, in fact, their alibi. I mean, we know that she's always stealing my talking points because she has a bigger platform and wants to take the credit, never shouts me out or any of those things. But, you know, that's what narcissists such as Tisa Tales do. That's what they do. Okay? That's what they do, beloved. Now, with that all being said, let's continue. Let's continue. Like stuff, everyone, please like and share. Also, let me just say this. Now, someone said in the chat that Warren said that it was Bart who towed their boat, right? Here's the thing. I don't believe them. I believe that's a whole lie. There's two reasons I believe that's a lie. Actually, there's a myriad, but I'll just bring up two. For one, if they actually needed a tow and the boat was sinking, as he claimed, and the water was up to the batteries, they would absolutely have wanted a professional tow. Anyone with common sense would want a professional tow, because the boat would quickly become inoperable. That being said, here's the other reason. Because they were on a 22 feet Triton boat, okay? So Bart's boat, I'm pretty sure, now mind you, I'm just assuming, but I would think that Bart's boat and probably most of the boats that were out there on that day were either around about the same size, maybe just a tad bit larger, and in some cases, just a little bit smaller. Okay, so with that all being said, here's the thing that I happen to know. It's not easy, and nor is it safe, okay, to tow a 22-foot boat with another boat of the same or similar size with just a casual rope. Okay, which is what they supposedly used. Because you see, boats, and that would be both of them, they weigh thousands of pounds. And then let's not factor in the momentum, the wind, and of course the waves. This would all make steering very, very extremely difficult. And of course, the rope could snap and cause severe injury, even death, to someone on board. So I'm sorry, but that dog is not going to hunt. Now, they can tell that lie and think it'll fly to people who don't know about boating. Now, I don't know a whole lot about boating, but I do know the basics, and I do know what's dangerous and what isn't. You see, steering loss would be very tragic. Like I said, it could be a towed boat tracking straight behind you, pushes and pulls on your stern, making it very difficult to turn or even to stop. And then they have something called the whip effect. And that's where if you tie a rope to a single cleat, the massive weight can rip the cleat right off of the deck and then turn it into a dangerous flying object. Okay, it could become a whole projectile. Okay, please pay attention. And then also the matched weight problems, as I said, they weigh thousands and thousands, right? So when two boats are about the same size or one may be a little bit bigger, the towing boat lacks the heavy mass that is absolutely needed to easily control the momentum of the disabled vessel. So there you have it. They are just lying, in my opinion. I don't believe a word. I don't believe a word that they said. And here's the thing. I specifically don't believe it now that we have the audio where we hear someone in the background mention both Wyatt and Warren's names. Also, Trayson said that Nolan was walking to Wyatt's boat. But I thought he never got on the boat because he wanted to stay there and cradle Katie. Okay? It's the lies of it all for me. It's the lies of it all. Like stuff, everyone, please like and share. Now let's go to this clip of Nancy Grace when she was on Fox News. And quite frankly, I don't trust anyone that goes on Fox News.
I get 2.5% cash back on all larger purchases and 2% on everything else. And I use that cash back to turn supplies into meals, tools into toasts, and big
death getting nationwide attention after attending a July 4th boat trip with friends and never returning home. Now, a Mississippi grand jury will determine if criminal charges will be brought after the family's private autopsy couldn't rule out foul play in Nolan Wells' death.
There were 300 to 400 people out on Horns Island. You mean to tell me nobody saw anything?
Any parent that would be in this situation, you would do anything to find out what happened to your child.
Joining us now, Nancy Grace, former special prosecutor and host of Crime Stories with Nancy Grace. You know, Nancy, Attorney Ben Crump there has a point. You mean no one saw anything? Where do you see this investigation, where things stand?
I've got a lot of problems with the investigation so far, but remember, we are seeing through a mirror darkly. We don't know all the evidence. There's been one state's autopsy, and that has not been released. The family sent the body of Nolan Wells for a second independent autopsy, and that autopsy says undetermined. This is what I do know, Griff. I know on the back of his head, the occipital bone back here, there is deep red subcutaneous tissue. It's not anywhere else. It is not pooling of the blood once he's died. The blood pools at the lowest point. It's not that, because it's only there. I'm curious, does that suggest a blow to the head? There are many accidental possibilities. When you look at the video out there are tons of boats. They're close together. Did he drink and drown in between one of those boats and nobody noticed? I don't know that. However, that deep reddening on the occipital bone is very disturbing to me. Also, you think, oh, he drowned, but we don't have the lungs. When the second autopsy got the body, the lungs and the throat were missing. Now, I understand, Griff, why they took the lungs to determine if he had drowned, but why was the neck missing? What about the interior of the throat sparked the initial medical examiner's concern? Was there some bruising on the neck? I don't know. So right now, it could go in so many different directions. But let me tell you this, the call that the friends made when they were returning without Nolan, they say he wanted to stay and be with a friend girl he just met. She, Katie, says, no, he left with his friends. I got a problem right there. That's a conflict in the testimony. But when you listen to the call the other friends made, they called SEATOW, SEATOW, and said, we're sinking. In this newly released sound, you can make out somebody saying, wake the F up. What does that mean? I'm not resting till I find out if that's real. Has it been doctored? And if it is real, who are they talking to?
There's so many questions that you raise, Nancy, and as someone who's investigated these things, you know which questions to ask. I want to take you back, though, because that marking on the back of his head is not insignificant, as you rightfully point out, because also the size of it, right? It's like a 12x8. I mean, it's not a small clue in this. Expand on that a bit, if you will.
Yes, that's perfect. Right there is showing exactly where the reddened tissue is, and is subcutaneous under the skin. Now, as we all know, in an autopsy, the skin is pulled away from the body to look at the tissue underneath the skin. That's where the second medical examiner, doctor, found it. Many people are arguing it was a blow to the back of the head. Many people argue he fell, hit his head on the boat, and went over. Well, if that happened, didn't anybody see him? So it's going to boil down to witness testimony and what that neck truly reveals. Again, why did the first medical examiner keep that part of the body? It was not sent to the second autopsy. That raises my antenna. There's a lot of hate going on around this case. It's very hard to understand. Again, it could be accidental. It may not be. And we can't stop the investigation until we know. This young man was 18. You know how old my twins are? 18. And I would be lying on the front of the courthouse steps screaming for an answer till I got one.
Okay, and I would too. Absolutely. Okay, likes up, everyone, please like and share. Now, and Desmond, thank you for that comment about wig. But let me say this. Speaking of wig, this is how you can tell that she often copies other people who are much smarter than her. Because for one, she said the most asinine thing the other day. She said that the GPS coordinates that they gave to the dispatcher were likely fraudulent, saying that they probably used someone else's coordinates and gave her that information, and so that they would know so that the dispatcher would know where they were. Well, this is how you know that she doesn't do research on this case. She just basically watches what other people say, and then she copies them and adds in a few things that are lies, if in my opinion. We know her for this because, for one, how can you fake GPS coordinates? Second of all, we already know that they absolutely have released the GPS data, which she obviously doesn't know. And if she was really following the case that she wants people to think, she would absolutely have known that. She would also have known that it has been said and reported that the GPS showed that their boat, when they made that call to the dispatch, was in the same proximity to where Nolan's body was found 2 days later. Okay, so if she knew those things, she definitely would not have said that they faked the GPS data. Like, how can you do that? That's so obtuse. But let's continue, because she'll continue to copy the Queen as long as she can. She'll continue to copy the Lounge, that girl Henny, Danny Robinson, and whoever else that she thinks or knows is smarter than her. That's just what she does. Now, let's continue, because the next thing I want to go to is how many of you, one's in the chat, how many of you remember about 2 weeks ago that I said that I had this dream, and you all know I have dreams all the time, and they always have turned out to be true. They always turn out to happen. Okay, I haven't been wrong yet. I'm not saying that I can't be wrong, but you all know that I'm prophetic, and the things that I tell you that I dreamt about, they have always come true up until this point, okay, up until present. So with that all being said, once in the chat, if you all remember me telling you I had a dream about Nolan and how they were playing a game of cat and mouse with him as he was walking to the boat. He's walking through the water. They kept pulling the boat back, and then they'd stop and they're laughing and mocking him, and they're acting like it's a joke, and he's even laughing with them. And then he walks a little bit further, and they pull the boat back a little further, and they continue to do this until Nolan goes under. Okay, so I want you all to see something very interesting that someone sent me. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Now, I'm not saying that this confirms what I dreamt. All I'm saying is I find it very interesting that someone else who is supposedly psychic, I call myself prophetic, said the same thing. Said the same thing. And they said this 4 days ago. I said this like 2 weeks ago. So I'm just saying I don't want anybody to think that I got this from them. So let's get into it. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. I'm going to share the screen. Here we go.
Hey, babes. Hello, hello, hello. So I'm going to...
Now, as you can see, her timestamp is 4 days ago.
This is a video about Nolan Wells, but it's to address some concerns. We have Dominique 44144 on TikTok, and
hold on, let me address Hash Brown. Says nobody has the facts. Oh, I absolutely disagree. Someone has the facts, okay, and they're hiding them. Someone absolutely have the facts, and I believe that it would be the medical examiner down there in Ocean Springs, okay, by the name of Stacy Turner. She did the first autopsy, so yes, she has the facts. Is she going to be honest about them? Of course not, okay, in my opinion. She never has been when it comes to a Black person's life being lost at the hands of someone who didn't look like them. But let's continue.
Solace on TikTok, and their comments are, I came back to say he never drowned. I'm not sure if this was a clear reading she had on him, because what she said most certainly did not match up with current events. Hold on, pause. Solace says, same. I also came back to say this. I said in a previous comment, I waited until official autopsy reports came out, and the more that comes out shows he did not drown. Pause. Exactly. That's why I saved this video, because when I first watched it, it genuinely felt way off. Okay. Only the second ME, the private one, medical examination has been released, and it's not a full one because I don't think they did the toxicology report. But you have to remember.
Hold on, let me say this also. There are many people that are supposed psychics saying different things. There is one lady who said something about they used a gun, held a gun to the back of his head, and that's why the discoloration was there. I don't really think that makes any sense. And then there was someone who said that I think she said he was hit with something, and that it happened on the island where nobody else was. So I'm just wondering how nobody saw anything if that were the case. Now, Yahudi Blue says, huh? Are you saying you're a prophet? Yes, I'm saying exactly that. And everybody that's been following me from 2020 can vouch for me, okay? I've predicted many things and they've all come true, including Trump's attempted assassination, which I predicted twice in 2020. And as we can see, there have been numerous attempts on him. Now, initially, when I reported that, I thought that he actually was taken out because in the first dream, he actually looked like he was dead. Okay, and then I dreamt it again. So yes, not to mention the earthquake that was in Asia. Okay, I believe that was in 2025 when I gave my New Year's predictions, and then that happened days later. Okay, so now with that all been said, there's many more, but I'm not going to go through all of it.
With the toxicology report, it will have alcohol, aka ethanol, in it because a dead body produces ethanol, aka alcohol. Okay, so there will always be alcohol in there, but the organs were already removed by the first ME. The first ME, okay, organs were already removed because the Mississippi State Examiner, the first people that had his body. I don't even want to do this, but here we go, because people don't understand what medical autopsies are. Examiner performed the first autopsy. Wells's organs, including his lungs and airways, had already been removed and dissected. This is standard forensic protocol, but it meant the independent examiner had no lungs to examine for water. Hello. Official results are not public. Okay, the state medical examiner has not released the official findings or details regarding what was found in the lungs, as they are waiting on the final toxicology report, which will say ethanol. Okay, people like
Danielle, beloved, the answer to your question is yes, absolutely, by blood, beloved.
Oh, she said he didn't drink. He told me he don't drink, okay? Just because he has a can in his hand don't mean he's chugging, getting wasted, okay? He might have had a sip or two. He said he was not drunk. He didn't drink like that, okay? Plus, he was about to be a football star. Why would he do that, right? People online are misinterpreting the private examiner's inability to see the lungs as a definitive claim that no water was there. The truth is that only the state medical examiner knows the condition of the lungs, and that data has not been made public yet. So if you want to go on my page and find something wrong, you will, especially if you don't know what you're looking for. Now, I have a theory. In my channeling session, I saw it from the shoreline to the outside water. Like, it wasn't far away either. But I saw him like swimming, trying to catch up, like a game of cat and mouse. That was the words, game of cat and mouse. But they say he has clothes on. So maybe it didn't happen at exactly the shoreline, because follow me here. If he's on the boat fully clothed, right? Because he wasn't in his swimming trunks, fully clothed, and they pushed him off, right? And he's struggling, right? It shows a massive 12 by 8 inch area of the deep tissue was bruised. Hold on. right, this is 12 inches on his head and down his back. Okay, by 8 would be here, this way, across his back and head. Now, this actually goes with what I was seeing. Okay, he was struggling. He kept going under. He's drowning. He's panicking. He's trying to get up. They're laughing at him, right? He goes under and he tries to come back up, and boom, he hits himself on the bottom of the boat / propeller, which would make the boat do what? Turn off. The only people that called somebody was them boys. Although it came out that the boat people that they called never came to help them. So it says a massive 12 by 8 inch area of deep tissue bruising with no external cuts, no fractures, so no bones were broken. Points to a blunt, flat surface. If he was underwater panicking, trying to find the surface, and forcefully slammed the back of his head and neck into the flat part of the boat hull, the swimming platform, or completely stationary, turned off the motor unit. Okay, it would cause exactly this kind of deep internal bruising without tearing open the skin. So this happened in the water. He's panicking. The boat's here. He goes under. He comes back up, and boom. So it says, in fact, famous forensic pathologist Dr. Michael Baden publicly commented on these exact findings today. I didn't see it. I just woke up. He stated that the injury appears to be a minor superficial impact that could easily and innocently have happened simply from bumping into a boat or under the water, debris in the water. So in the water. This didn't happen at a pool party. They beat his ass. He has nothing on his face. Okay, he has one big mark from a flat surface. This big by this big. Okay, 8 inches. 8 inches. 8 inches by 12. The boat. Who called? Oh, our boat turned off. Why did the boat turn off? Because Nolan hit the bottom of it. It's not over yet. Okay, I stand with what Spirit showed me. I stand. He said he wasn't drinking. He might have had a can and he might have took a sip or two. He told me he wasn't drinking. Okay, to me, drinking is go. Not a sip or two. Not a sip or two. Who's 18? Nolan, what the hell are you doing with the can of beer? You're not even 21. So that's why I don't I don't know. But he told me he wasn't. I stand by with what I was shown. Do I skip over details? All the time. Sometimes things are just too traumatic. I don't want to see it, right? I saw him struggle. I saw him go under, and I stopped. But now it's leaning more towards he went under and tried to come back up, hit himself, and then couldn't come back up. Turned the boat off. Boys call, hey, our boat turned off. We're taking on water. Probably because of all the splashy stuff, you know. And it just sounds good if they're getting trouble. It could have even been somebody on the boat wanted to call for help for Nolan, right? But somebody else on the boat was like, don't do that. Just say we're taking on water. Just say our boat turned off because it wouldn't start right away, right? It could be all these things. I don't know. We'll see, though.
Okay, so I want you all to pay attention. She said he was trying to get to the boat and he started going under. Okay, like I said, they were laughing and mocking him. That's absolutely what I think they were doing. Now, and I believe they did something even more nefarious after the fact. But that also would explain, in my opinion, why his body was found in the same proximity to where they made the phone call on that boat. Okay, now I'm going to go to this other video that she did where she's actually listening to the audio and telling what she hears. Okay. Now, John Boy said, "Hey, Queen, I'm thinking Nolan was snuck from behind and put in a sleeper hold. The pressure from the forearm in the back of the head left the mark." Now, that is very plausible too, beloved. Okay, that's very plausible too. See, we're kind of playing a guessing game here. We don't know exactly how that red discoloration got there. You know, one expert said that it could have been from the pooling of the blood as he lay flat on his back after death. At the end of the day, my uncle, who is also an expert, okay, well, not in pathology, but I mean that he was a special agent and all of that. So he's dealt with these things many a times. But he seems to think that he was possibly struck on the back of the head with a very hard object like a baseball bat. So the fact of the matter is, the reason we have all of these questions is because the medical examiner for the first autopsy has not released any findings, and nor will she, because, you know, they've already said they're holding all the evidence until it goes before a grand jury. Okay, likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance.
I hear, hold his face.
You sure he's dead? Hold on. Let me make sure that's what he's saying. Hold on.
This one is groundbreaking. Wait till you hear this.
Hold on. Ooh, are you sure he's dead? Whoa, doggy. They're talking about pull him out of there. Are you sure he's dead? And keep your poker faces. Listen. The mother of the boy on the boat. Are you sure he's dead? Are you sure he's dead? He's dead? A girl said, he's dead? Are you sure he's dead? He's dead. Pull him out of there. One girl says. Somebody says, a girl says, a poker face. A guy says, are you sure he's dead? A girl says, he's dead? Can we tag his mom or Crump or somebody? Some type of name? Pick up. Oh my God. Hold on. Hold on. Tell her. Tell her jumped off. Oh my God. It's like they were calling to get Nolan help and then changed their fucking minds. Oh. Are you sure he's dead? Hold on. He's dead? Nolan, pick up. I don't know the name he's saying. Whatever that's saying. Oh my God. Hold on, go back again. Tell her, jump off. Oh my God. It's oh my God. And then. And then a girl's talking after the guy says, oh my God. I still see him. Whoa. Whoa. So the lady's going to be talking, hey, take a bit. But listen behind that. A guy says, oh my God. And the girl says, I still see him. Watch. Vicky speaking. How can I help you? Did you hear that? Listen, Vicky speaking. How can I help you? Right when I say it, right? Speaker assistant, Vicky speaking. How can I help you?
I hear,
Okay, so what do you all think about that? What do y'all think about that? Nene says it gets worse every day. It absolutely does. It absolutely does. And see, here's the thing. This is how you know that there's a whole cover-up going on, because with all the technology we have available, and specifically law enforcement, right? They could easily have gotten this audio, and they could have gotten experts to clean it up, forensic audio experts to clean it up, and known exactly what was said, even more than what we're hearing ourselves, because these people are highly trained professionals, and this is what they do for a living. But at the end of the day, they've not done any of that. They're still trying to make us think that it was just an accidental drowning. Okay, if Nolan in fact drowned, it was no accident. It was purposeful. And otherwise, they would not be trying to hide and cover all these things up. Okay, at the end of the day. Now, she seems to think that they were taunting him and he went under the water and drowned and then hit his head on the bottom of the boat, possibly. Now, I don't necessarily think that. I think that he was, from the dream, I gathered that he was walking out into the water. They were taunting him, and then he walked further and further, and he started going under. I think that after he went under a couple of times, they pulled him onto the boat. Okay, they pulled him onto the boat and then finished him off. That's just what I think. Now, I could be absolutely wrong, but then again, I could be absolutely right. At the end of the day, I do definitely think they finished him off on that boat, because why are they saying all that stuff in the background? Now, the question is, were they trying to finish him off on the boat, or were they trying to save him on the boat after they panicked from seeing that he nearly drowned? At the end of the day, no matter which way it goes, they're absolutely guilty. Because if they were actually trying to save him and felt that he drowned, they should have called for help. When they made the call for the fake tow, which was their alibi, in my opinion, they should absolutely have been calling for help and said, "Oh, we need the Coast Guard." They could have done a myriad of things. Okay, but what we know is that they absolutely had to have done something nefarious. Okay, bottom line. Now, with that all being said, let's go to the walk that they did for Nolan just the other day. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. And then we're going to go to this interview with Shakur King, who's a funeral director. He's a comedian, but he's also a funeral director. And I played you all the video he posted the other day. It was like 3 minutes long, but he gave more details when he was interviewed by Willie D just the other day. And shout out to Willie D. Okay, let's go to this next clip. Likes up, everyone, please don't forget to like and share. Thank you in advance.
What's his name? Nolan Wells. Those chants echoed through Jones Park in Gulfport. Supporters marched down Highway 90 and across the Coast Transit Authority pedestrian bridge, hoping to keep Nolan Wells' case in the public eye.
The question that Mrs. Christine Wansley and Elmore Wansley have said from the beginning: what happened to Nolan Wells? So that's why we're here today as well. We're here to find out what happened to Nolan Wells.
Selena Charles, founder of Purpose for the People, says she won't stop until she gets answers.
No one's here with violence. I attended the funeral. There was no violence there, none at all. Having questions is not violence. You know, it's not a case of we want to scramble at each other and fight. No, we have the question in mind: what happened to Nolan Wells?
Organizer Tanya Darden says the community isn't backing down.
Nothing's going to stop us. We are united to get this across. We demand equal justice for him as any Caucasian person will get. Black lives does matter, and he matters to all of us, and we want answers. We want justice.
Gulfport Ward 3 Councilwoman Ella Holmes Hines told the crowd the family deserves facts they can trust.
Justice looks like you have answers. Justice looks like that you have facts. Justice looks like that you have a peace of mind that everything you have been told can be verified by facts. That's what the family deserves, and that's what the family needs.
Attendee Sandra Rice emphasized that Sunday's event was about unity and peaceful advocacy.
We want to be peaceful. We're peaceful people. We want to live in peace. We don't want to just rest in peace. See, Nolan is resting in peace, but we need to live, so we need to live in peace.
Organizers say they'll continue advocating for transparency as they await more information in the investigation. In Gulfport, Ava Schwing, WLOX News Now.
Organizers say Sunday's walk is just one step in their effort to keep attention on Nolan Wells' case.
Yeah, they want to keep attention on it because they already know that a whole cover-up has ensued. And you know, these devils may absolutely get away with what they have done, like I told you before, because they have so many connections. Everyone knows everyone, and all of these officials seem to be in on it, including the guy Brian Trasher from the Cajun Navy. Now, let me just tell you all, too, the person that owned the boat was supposedly Wyatt's grandfather, whose name is Jerry Atkerson. He's 80 years old, and guess what? He used to be the general manager of sales and the owner of Ocean Marine Group, okay, which has 2 different Mississippi locations, okay, a boat sales and repair company. Isn't that interesting? Okay, and so that means that he actually sells CETO memberships. Okay, yeah, he's affiliated with CETO. Do you all hear this? Okay, so he not only had a membership, but yeah, he supposedly sells them, or sold them at some point. And see, that's how he knew the captain. He knew the captain personally. He even had his cell phone number. That's why he was able to call him so quickly while Wyatt, okay, the fake friend or frenemy of Nolan, was still on the boat while they're trying to build their alibi. And if you ask me, I think that in fact, the grandfather is the one who told them to use the phone call as an alibi. Because like I told you all yesterday, I absolutely believe that they called the grandfather first because after they killed Nolan, and this is all speculation, I don't know if they actually killed him. I just believe that they killed him, okay? I believe that they killed him. And so with that being said, I think they called the grandfather to ask him what to do because they were in a panic and frantic. And the grandfather told them, make a call, call CETO, act as though you're in distress, say the boat's sinking, you need help, so that you'll be recorded, okay, just in case they find out the approximate time of his death, you will be in the clear. And you all can just say you never saw him after you left the island. That's what I think probably happened, more likely than not. Okay, but like I said, again, we don't know all the facts for sure. We are just putting pieces of the puzzle together and trying to make it all make sense. And of course, with that being said, there's a bunch of naysayers who don't want the truth. Sadly, they don't want the truth to come out. Now, It's Me Sean says they will get any and all information from the girls that were there because they will break down, especially if they're talking about being locked up. Well, that would be a good idea. I mean, I would hope that they would break down, that somebody breaks down or someone comes forward for that $125,000 reward and tells the truth. Because that's the only way there would likely be a conviction. And even then, we can't guarantee there would be one because there's always the makeup of the jurors, which we don't know what it would be, okay, if it went to trial. But at the end of the day, I know they're doing a very thorough job of trying to make sure that no justice is served, in my opinion. Okay, in my opinion. And here's the thing. I told you all weeks ago that I didn't understand why the police, well, I actually do understand why, because they don't want justice, in my opinion. But I told you all a couple of weeks ago, at least, that they could have hauled all of them in, put them in separate rooms, and started grilling them and doing that whole little thing they do, the tactic of good cop, bad cop, and putting fear into them and saying, you're going to be blamed, you're going to be arrested. Do you want to spend the rest of your life in prison? They could have done that. They could have used those sort of interrogation tactics, but that's not what they did. Okay, I'm pretty sure that's not what they did, because someone likely would have cracked. The police do it all the time. They're very skilled in this. Okay, they're very skilled in this. So at the end of the day, the fact that they didn't do that leads me to think that that's not what they wanted to do. And if that's not what they wanted to do, then it's safe for me to assume, at least, that they don't want justice. Now, before we get into this interview with Shakur King, I'm going to go back to Officer Rage Batum Tatum, because don't you all find it interesting how dirty this young man's pants were, in fact? Why would you come and do an interview with your pants and your outfit looking like that? Now, some of the MAGA minions tried to defend him only because he's spewing their same rhetoric and talking points. and protecting the little thugs that we think had something to do with Nolan's demise. But he's sitting up there and they were saying, well, maybe he just got off of work. Well, that's the first thing I thought. But I would like to think that if you just got off of work and that's how you look, it looks like you were doing construction or maybe you're a landscaper or something of the sort. But I would think that you would have wanted to shower and put on something decent before you conducted a whole interview. It's not like Rage Tatum didn't have time to wait. He was down there in Mississippi enjoying himself, being the raccoon that he in fact is. Okay? Did y'all not see those filthy pants? Put a 1 in the chat if you all noticed how dirty and nasty and filthy his pants were. Okay? I mean, who does that? Who does that? And then how he was trying to go in on Black people, saying that we basically have blackballed him and saying, aren't I one of them? Well, you know, I don't think if you were one of us, you would have to ask. Okay, just because you have black skin doesn't mean that you're one of us, as we can clearly see from Rage Tatum. He too has black skin, but is he one of us? Of course not. Okay, now someone mentioned that he had his arms crossed, and I'm glad you brought that up, beloved, because the fact of the matter is, if you know anything about body language, someone having their arms closed across like that is definitely someone on the defense. Okay. Someone who has something to hide usually would sit like that. Someone who is very tense, okay? And who's going to try to choose their words carefully, but also the way he has his hands. Not just are his arms folded, but notice how his hands are tucked beneath his arms. Now, that to me is an indication of someone who is trying to make sure that they don't slip up and start talking with their hands, you know, like Rage Tatum does, because people who are big liars, especially when they're lying about something serious, they tend to talk with their hands a lot. Now, of course, I'm not saying everyone that talks with their hands is a liar, because I talk with my hands sometimes too. But some people who lie, and when they get under stress, when they're telling their lies, they'll use their hands, okay, inadvertently, and it becomes a distraction. And so I do believe that that's possibly why he has his hands tucked like that. Okay, it's not to give himself away, but he already gave himself away, as far as I'm concerned. How is he and both Warren and Javon, all three, Nolan's best friends? Okay, please make that make sense. Now, I'm not going to play the video because we already saw this on yesterday. I just wanted you all to remember those dirty arse pants that he chose to wear. So let's go to this interview. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. And I'm going to be using an overlay because I do not. And shout out again to Willie D. Okay, here we go.
Nolan Wells continues to generate intense.
For cases, bro. I'm glad you hit me up, man.
Absolutely, man. And you got a unique perspective here, man. You bring a very unique perspective to the table.
Yeah.
As a licensed funeral director, what was your first reaction when you heard about how the body was handled?
All I heard was that the first thing I heard that when they received the body for the second autopsy in DC, that the body was face down. I don't know if there's any truth to that or anything like that, but that's a disturbing thing to hear. I don't know if that was done purposely, you know, if he was flown to DC or whatever the case may be. Things can happen, you know, en route. So we don't know, but that was kind of that was strange. But when it was understood that the people who are, or the medical examiner that was receiving the body of Nolan Wells for the second examination, when they were saying that they did not have all of his body parts, that was like, okay, that raised the eyebrow to me, because never in my professional history, as a mortician, have I ever received a body post autopsy and they didn't have, all the body parts. The proceedings, what the protocol is this: if a person in the state, usually most states, the rule is if you pass away from a gunshot wound or a car accident, you automatically have to get an autopsy.
What if the family don't want one?
Willie said, what if the family doesn't want one? Okay, so hold on, let me say something. Listen, beloveds, I need you all to be mindful of what you post in the chat. First off, don't post other content creators unless you have my permission, because some of these people don't like the queen, okay? And at least one of them I don't like either. Now, with that all being said, so please pay attention. Also, be careful of what you're putting in the comments. Do not be saying anything racially disparaging to anyone, no matter what your race or ethnicity is, or you'll be first. Your comment will be deleted. And then if you do it again, you'll be put in a timeout. And after that, you'll just be gone. Okay? You'll just be gone. Now, Vicky Stafford says Black people should move out of this corrupt country. Well, we're not going to move out of this corrupt country because, in fact, it's our country. The people that came here from elsewhere, like Europe, those people are the ones making it corrupt, in my opinion. With that being said, they should leave. They should go back to Europe where they absolutely belong. That's what should happen. You see, we are indigenous here. We didn't all come from Africa. And since we're indigenous here, this is our land. We were here first. So we're never going to pack up and leave, no matter how corrupt it gets. At the end of the day, we've always fought and we've always stood up to our oppression and the racist devils and minions, okay, who tried to come for us. And I think thus far we've done a pretty good job. So with that all being said, we're not going anywhere. They'll leave before we will, and that's just what it is. Now let's continue.
Well, the family then the family does have the say so to say, we don't want one or whatever the case may be, and they can kind of veto it. They can kind of I have seen certain circumstances like that, but under most circumstances, it's like because of like. Let's say if a person passes away from a car accident,
Mm-hmm.
or they've been in a car accident and the person ends up deceased, for insurance purposes, you start thinking about these big insurance companies. The companies want to know, did this person actually pass away from this car accident, or did something happen? They could have passed away from a heart attack that could have taken their lives, and that could have caused the car accident. You never know. If they don't do an autopsy, they say, okay, it was a car accident, but there's a bullet hole in the driver door. So this person could have been shot, and them being shot led to the car accident. You see what I'm saying? Or if they committed suicide and then the car plowed through the light. Like, it's so many different, you know what I mean? Like, you see so many different things as to why under certain circumstances a autopsy is mandatory behind certain types.
I'm sorry, you guys. I have to address this comment from Alan, who says Black women are always mad because no one wants their dirty selves. Says the person who was taught to be civilized and to take baths by the Moors who were Black. I find that interesting. You didn't know what a washcloth or soap and water were to be used for, okay, until the Moors had to show you. But you want to call us dirty? I find that very interesting. And in fact, it's hilarious. Okay, it's very funny to me. Now, I'm sure you thought of this as you sat on your porch in your trailer park on a dirty, dusty couch that you found at a dumpster, wearing your flip-flops with socks as you ate your mayo sandwich that you were saving for a special occasion. But you got hungry because there was nothing else left, so you had to eat that. But I'm sure that's what you were doing when you came up with this. Listen, Alan, if that's the way you feel about Black women, well, why would you be in this chat? Oh, that's right, because you're obsessed with Black women. And the real fact of the matter is you're upset because none of us want your dirty little self. Okay? Now, With that being said, beloved, go on and have the day that you and your nefarious ancestors deserve. Let's continue.
To death, because they need to know this for legal purposes, for insurance purposes, and things like that. You know what I mean? It may look like a car accident victim when in actuality they're a murder victim. You know what I mean? They need to be looking for a suspect. You know, see, people don't think about things like this. And then if somebody is to be like, if something happens, somebody gets shot, they need to know, you know, it may be more than one bullet. You know what I mean? It's like you got one bullet in a lung and another bullet in the heart. So it's like, all right, do we need to be looking for two different suspects, or, you know, was it self-inflicted? What, you know, they have to look for certain things. But nonetheless, after all of that is done, after all of the examination is done by the medical examiner, all of the body parts are placed in a biohazard bag and sent to the funeral home, or sent to the next medical examiner for a second autopsy or second examination. And I'm not pointing the fingers at anybody. I'm just telling you what the protocol is. So it doesn't make sense to me that you would send a body to have a second autopsy done when you don't have all of the parts, because it's bound to come inconclusive when you don't have all of the, you know, everything that you need to examine. Okay, even if you're saying, okay, well, we had to do further examination, what I've always seen is when you have to do further, okay, we did one and we have to do further examination. Okay, well, then we have to wait until the examination is 100% complete. Then you send him off. That's right. What I've always seen. I'm not saying what's right, what's wrong. I'm saying this is the standard procedure of what I've always seen.
So you're saying essentially here that it is highly unusual for an independent examiner to receive a body without all of its tissues and organs.
Yeah, that's unusual. I mean, under certain circumstances, it can happen, but very rarely, very extremely rarely do you see that, because it's like, how are you going to come up with how can you can't, like, it's too many holes. Like, how am I going to, of course the autopsy is going to come up inconclusive because we don't have everything.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So in your opinion, when you have missing organs, it greatly affects the second opinion.
Absolutely. And I would go as far as to say this, though, that because the liability of everything is so high, there's a strong chance. Well, I would hope that was not done without the family's consent.
You know, I was just about to ask you that.
Yeah,
I was just about to ask you, you know, should the family had been warned, should they had been told what exactly what was going to be included in the second exam? You know, like, should they have been told that, hey, we got the body, but we sending it back without the lungs and the throat?
Well, in this case, what a lot of people don't realize is that the family has a lot of say-so in that. Because just as a medical examiner, you are in physical custody of the body. But the family, the next of kin, which would be his parents.
Have you seen the average auto insurance rate in Georgia? It's crazy. I don't know how anyone can afford to live there. Georgians are paying over 20.
You can't really do anything with him without their permission. Like, as far as sending him somewhere, like when somebody passes away, the coroner or medical examiner or whatever, when they ask you what funeral home do you want to use, the family has to say, well, this is the funeral home we want to use. And then the funeral home is contacted. you know, you can't just send a body somewhere without the family's permission. You can't, like, if somebody's a company is there that they want to ask, you know, can we take organs? Can you donate? Or you can't do it. You can't take anything or do anything without the family's permission.
Right.
You know, so to my understanding and to my knowledge and my experience, when you have somebody, especially under such it's a hot light, you know what I mean, in the public eye, you got to dot your I's and cross your T's. If you're sending somebody and saying, hey, look, well, we need to keep these body parts in order to do further examinations. Okay, the family needs to be informed beforehand. I'm not saying that they weren't. I'm saying that the protocol is there needs to be phone calls made. Hey, to his parents, let's get them on the phone, have them make sure that there's a clear understanding that we need to do some further examinations to X, Y, and Z. How do you want to proceed? This may take a couple of weeks. Now, somebody on his family side may have said, okay, well, look, we want to have a service for him. So we're going to have this service and you'll send the body up here for, you know, an examination, and then we'll handle everything else once you finish doing what you do. But that rarely happens, because you're talking about somebody's child, somebody's loved one. How many parents do you think would say, send my child's body up here and you got other organs over there?
Mm-hmm.
With there already being suspicious of thinking the reason they're having a second examination is because they don't trust the people down there in the first place.
Right.
So, I mean, like, I don't know who gave permission to do what. I'm just saying that as far as right now, it's kind of out of protocol. Like, it's real weird. And I'm not saying anybody did anything. I'm not saying, because as far as we know, you know, anything could have happened. You know, maybe nobody did anything. Maybe there wasn't a fight. Maybe there was an aneurysm. Maybe somebody.
Hell no! Somebody did something, man.
But see, but look,
Okay, I'm gonna stop right there. He did a good breakdown on that. I appreciate him. And he knows darn well somebody did something, or he thinks that someone did something, I'm pretty sure. Okay. But you know, again, it's all speculation at this point until we get all of the facts. Okay, so everyone, please like and share. Now, with that all being said, some of you were telling me in the chat just days ago that in fact the tip line for Nolan's case goes to Judge Ashley Cole's voicemail or goes to her office. Well, they're saying that was fake, and supposedly a content creator is under investigation for that. Okay, so please pay attention. Now, I don't know if it's fake or not, but they're saying it's fake. And, you know, it could be, because people have been doing a whole lot of shady things to muddy the water, to get us to put out false information, you know, and to confuse us, because that's what devils do. Okay, it tells you in the Bible, the devil mixes lies with the truth to confuse you. And if you have a bunch of confused people who don't have all the facts, and then people don't really know what to think, they don't know what to decipher, then that's how you get away with murder. Okay, that's how you get away with murder, especially if it goes to trial and you can convince a jury that there's so much chaos and confusion and you don't know who to believe and what to believe. Then they might think the same thing and not be able to reach the decision of guilty because of something called reasonable doubt. Okay, please pay attention. Now, with that all being said, I'm going to go to the video of Willie D. Shout out to Willie D again, where he actually called the number, and this is what he heard. And you know, I do think that it is fake, but only because at the end it says you cannot or you can't leave a message for Margot. Who's Margot? Because the judge that is the stepmother of Warren Hudson, her name is Ashley Cole. So I have several questions about the validity of this. And like I said, we should all be paying attention. And the reason I'm showing this is so that anybody who thinks it's real, that you may want to think again. Because let's not forget how I also exposed to you yesterday that guy that was going around talking about they better do the right thing or he's going to leak stuff. And then I told you all at the beginning, okay, because my intuition is usually on point, right? But I told you all in the beginning that he was a clout chaser and that he didn't have any information on Nolan. And then now he comes out and admits it and says that he was just doing a social experiment and pretends that he doesn't even know anything about Nolan Wells' case. Of course he does. It's all over social media. And since we know that he's on social media, of course he knows all about it. That's why he made the video, for a whole clout chase. But, you know, like I said, he came out and admitted to that and tried to act as though anyone who believed him was a fool. Well, I'm not going to say they were a fool, but what I will say is this. If you did, in fact, believe what he was saying, then you should maybe want to check yourself as to what you believe from here on out. Because please don't just believe anything, okay? Please don't just believe anything that you hear on social media, okay? You have to fact check. At the end of the day, you have to make sure that it came from a reliable and a credible source. Because like I said, the minions are out here desperately trying to muddy the waters. Okay, that's what they're trying to do. Nolan said, you was 100, Queen. Okay, yeah, they be hating. And thank you, beloved. Okay, thank you for that. Now, let's continue. I'm going to put an overlay on this, even though it's a TikTok. I'm sure this is on his channel.
Hi, you've reached the office of Judge Ashley Cole. Please leave your name, number, the case number, and a brief message at the sound of the beep, and we'll call you back as soon as we get a chance. Thank you. You cannot record a message for Margot Mills. This mailbox is full. Hello, Cisco Unity Connection Messaging System. From a touch-tone telephone, you may dial an extension at any time. For a directory of extensions, press 4.
I just dialed the number, and this is the same number that is listed. Okay, just to show you proof. This is Judge Ashley Cole, P.O. Box 998, Pascagoula, 39. That looks like the same number as the sheriff's department. Is there some type of mix-up? Maybe there's a mix-up. It's got to be a mix-up, man, because ain't no way these people are that bold. It's the same number as the Jackson County Sheriff's Department, 228-769-3036. 228-769-3036 is the same number as Ashley Cole's. Number I'm about to dial. So I saw this number somewhere, and I dialed this number, and this is supposed to be the sheriff's tip line.
Sheriff's Department.
Yeah, is this a tip line for Nolan Wells?
Yes.
Yeah. So I called another number, a 36 number, and it took me to Judge Ashley Cole's voicemail. Are y'all aware of is there some type of mix-up or whatever? Are y'all all interconnected?
What number did you call when that happened?
Okay, so what do you all think about that? Listen, I'll tell you this much. I don't put anything past them, okay? But the fact that it said something about Margot at the end didn't make any sense to me if it was supposedly the judge's voicemail, okay? But, you know, the devils will absolutely try to get away with anything they can and as much as they can, hoping that we'll just turn a blind eye, get tired of complaining about it, or as someone suggested moments ago, that we'll just leave the country because it's corrupt. As if most of the countries on the planet aren't corrupt. as if racism doesn't exist outside of the U.S. Of course it does. So why would we leave? This is our home. We're not going anywhere, and nobody's going to run us off, though they would love to. Okay? Though they would love to. Now, with that all being said, I'm going to give a brief history lesson for Alan, who was in the chat talking about dirty Black women, said that we're just always mad because no one wants our dirty selves. I'm going to just do a brief history lesson for him. I know I blocked him. I know I banned him from the channel so he can't comment, but he can still watch, and I'm sure that he is watching. Okay? Because some Black woman clearly ticked him off and hurt his little feelings, and so that's why he's mad. Okay, but this is what I want him to see, and anyone else who thinks like him.
High heels were invented to avoid stepping in poop. Perfume was created to mask the stench of feces, and princess dresses were designed for easy public urination and defecation. Yes, this all took place in what we think of as the Romantic era of medieval Europe, which was far dirtier than you might imagine. The streets and even the Grand Versailles Palace were littered with human waste. Walking down the street, you'd better carry an umbrella, lest you get hit by falling excrement. Noble women, adorned in their splendid, voluminous princess gowns, would simply relieve themselves where they stood, especially during long banquets, leaving behind quite the unsanitary scene.
Now, did y'all hear that? Especially during long banquets. So while people are eating, this is what they were doing, taking dumps. But you know, what do I know? I'm just some dirty Black woman who's always mad.
Combat the pervasive odor, King Louis XIV of France, who wasn't fond of bathing, popularized the use of perfume to cover up both body odor and the smell of feces, making it a sought-after luxury among the aristocracy. Additionally, Europeans invented high heels and stockings to keep their feet clean from the muck, with the tallest heels reaching up to 50 centimeters, illustrating the depth of the filth on the streets. The prevailing feudal mindset, which held that everything, including dust and waste, was created by God, led people to see public urination and defecation as something not to be ashamed of, but rather a point of pride. This, combined with the high population density and the absence of indoor plumbing, turned entire cities into veritable cesspools. No wonder Voltaire remarked on this era as dirty and barbaric, highlighting the stark difference between the idealized view of medieval Europe and its grimy reality.
Not grimy. Okay, please pay attention, Alan. Okay, did you not get that history lesson? Clearly you did not. Okay. Now, with that all being said, Vincent Calamine says, you Black people are falling into a trap out of emotions. Take a deep breath and be quiet. The art of war. I'm 63. Well, Vincent, that's nice to know that you're 63. And so that lets us know that at your big age, you should know that you don't refer to Black people or any race of people as you people. Okay, that's just rude. And then also, you also should know that you don't get to tell us what to think and how to think it, or what to feel and how to feel it. Here's the thing. We may be in our emotions because we have something called empathy and sympathy and humanity. So we actually care about people who lose their lives. You know, not just Black people, other people who lose their lives as well under heinous circumstances at the hands of thugs, killers, you know, all sorts of nefarious perpetrators. But the bottom line is we also want justice, and we're going to continue to demand it until we get it. Now, you said take a deep breath and be quiet. Well, you know, we'll take a deep breath, but what we won't do is be quiet. You see, you at your big age should know that you don't get to tell grown people what the hell to do. Okay? With that all being said, let's continue. Now, Julia Jeltz says, the fact is Mississippi's corrupt justice system have not been held accountable for their actions in the past, thinking they are above the law. Exactly, beloved. That's exactly what they think. Okay, that's exactly what they think. But you know, the thing about it is, all good things at some point come to an end. Okay, all good things at some point come to an end. They're being exposed for their corruption. okay, on such a massive level, in my opinion. They're being exposed about all the Klansmen that they still have operating in Mississippi. I told you all weeks ago that they have 7 whole groups. Okay, they have 7 whole groups of Klansmen down there in Mississippi, you know, and some of them are walking around in police uniforms. Some of them wear black robes and sit behind benches, okay, and hold gavels in their hands. Some of them are DAs. Some of them are medical examiners. There's plenty of them to go around, is all I'm saying. And as long as they permeate the entire judicial system of the United States, because trust me, they do, well, it's going to be very difficult for us to get justice in these cases, such as Nolan's and Carmelo Anthony's, but we're going to keep fighting until we do. Okay, so for the naysayers who think we should just leave the country, we're not going anywhere. Let me say that again. Okay, please pay attention. Now, Julia, beloved, thank you for your insight into the topic and your contribution to the channel. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. Now, I'm about to conclude this broadcast. I want to thank you all for tuning in. Please like, share, and subscribe, or not if you're mad. But I will be back later with more details and information. So please make sure you tune in. Turn on your notifications. All right. And don't forget that if you don't get the notifications, you can always find the links to the broadcast on my community tab here on YouTube and also on my X account. Okay. Divine or DGoddess227 on X. Now, with that all being said, I'm about to get out of here. But before I do, I just want to give my condolences to the families, friends, and loved ones of all of the people who have lost their lives and at the hands of malicious people, and they never got justice. Now, with that all being said, that's absolutely why I have no respect whatsoever. None, zero, zilch, nada. Okay? That's why I have no respect for the founding fathers of this country. And I still don't understand why they get to deem themselves as the founding fathers when, in fact, my people were here first. And if you don't believe that and think we just all came from Africa and were brought here on ships as slaves, think again. And while you're at it, go look at Columbus's journals, okay? The copper-colored people that he saw were my ancestors. Okay, please pay attention. With that all being said, each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. Until next time, peace.
4th of July. Fireworks in the sky. But the truth's still buried underground. Royal Oak. Yeah. They told me, wave the flag while the chains still clank. Told me praise the names on the blood-soaked banks. Told me freedom was born in the room full of men who wrote liberty down while they own human skin. So fuck your founding fathers and the myths they made. I don't pledge to the lie, I don't kneel to the page. You can light up the sky, I remember the smoke from the fields, from the ships, from the necks in the row. You call it independence, I call it selective. You call it patriotic, I call it protective. Of the story so fragile it cracks when questioned. Truth knocks once and they call it aggression. Yeah. Red for the blood they spill, white for the lies they told, blue for the bruises left on the bodies they sold. Don't ask me to celebrate what never included mine. I came with the receipts, I came to redraw the line. Fuck your founding fathers, I don't owe them praise. They built a nation on our backs, then told us smile through the pain. Fuck your founding fathers, let the fireworks cry. This ain't freedom for the people. If the truth still gotta hide, yeah, no justice, no peace, no lie gets crowned. We don't worship old ghosts when the roots scream loud. Fuck your founding fathers. On the 4th of July, I'm lighting up the truth while they light up the sky. They say, look out far we came, I say look what it cost. Every courthouse got a shadow, every victory got lost. They gave statues to the takers, made heroes out of thieves. Put their faces on the money while the hungry couldn't breathe. Don't lecture me on freedom from a stolen land stage. Don't quote old documents with blood on the page. Don't tell me be grateful for a seat at the table when my people built the room and got treated unstable. You can't buy me through the truth, you can dress it in stars, but the anthem still echoes like chains behind bars. I don't hate the people, I hate the disguise. I hate when the guilty get praised as the wise. Red for the blood they spill, white for the lies they told, blue for the bruises left on the bodies they sold. Don't ask me to celebrate, but never including mine. I came with the receipts, I came to redraw the line. Fuck your founding fathers, I don't owe them praise. They built a nation on our backs, then told us smile through the pain. Fuck your founding fathers, let the fireworks cry. This ain't freedom for the people, if the truth still gotta hide. No justice, no peace, no lie gets crowned. We don't worship old ghosts when the roots scream loud. Fuck your founding fathers. On the 4th of July, I'm lighting up the truth while they light up the sky. Don't call it hate when the wound speaks back. Don't call it division when our name was fact. Don't call it progress while the system still bites. Don't call it freedom if we still gotta fight. I'm not here for comfort, I'm not here to pretend. I'm here for the children who deserve better than this. Better than myths, better than chains, better than flags used to cover up pain. So this one's for the ancestors who never got rest, for the names never written but who gave us their best, for the mothers who prayed, for the fathers who ran, for the babies born fighting in the stolen man's plan. This is not disrespect, this is correction. This is not rebellion, this is resurrection. You can keep your parade, I keep speaking the truth. I don't need permission to remember my roots. Royal oak in the soil, truth in the flame. If the crown came with silence, then I don't want the name. But if the crown means standing when the whole world falls, then I'm 10 toes down till the real story's told. Fuck your founding fathers, I don't owe them praise. They built a nation on our backs, then told us smile through the pain. Fuck your founding fathers, let the fireworks cry. This ain't freedom for the people,